In this video, we'll have a look at a few developers and their games, and how FreeBSD can make a great game development system. First up is P1 vs P2 and ColorGame by Jonathan Steadman. Indie games can come from large groups of developers, or they can come from solo setups, and can vary in scope and depth. And that's the beauty of them. And here is an example of a couple by Jonathan Steadman, a subscriber of mine and someone who likes to make smaller, more cerebral puzzle games and some utilities for FreeBSD. There isn't any fancy graphics, and the presentation just gets on with the job. And that's what I love the most about the various projects he does. He does it with passion and is very productive, making changes, starting new projects, and improving his skill set. The two games here are an example of what I mean. The ColorGame for FreeBSD is a clever little game where a colour is displayed on screen, both visually and in text, but the two don't match. And that's the game. You have to ignore what the text says and type in the colour you see. It's not easy, and there are no bells and whistles, but it's playable and fun, which sometimes can't be said of larger, more mainstream games. The next title from Jonathan is P1 vs P2. And again, it's followed the similar no-frills approach, and is a version of tic-tac-toe, otherwise known as noughts and crosses in the UK. I don't need to explain how this works, and it follows the basic look and feel, but that's okay, as the gameplay is what matters, and in this case it's a classic. If you want to check out Jonathan's other work, I'll leave a link in the description box down below. Metal Blob Solid, Blob Wars, Episode 1 by Perpendicular Dimensions and Parallel Realities. If you like games that not only exercise the mind, but also your dexterity, then Metal Blob Solid, which is a great name by the way, is maybe for you. It features some great gameplay along with some very nice, almost Amiga-esque graphics. The developers, Parallel Realities, have been creating games since 1993, and they started off writing games on the Amiga, funny enough. The developers' website features all the games to date for all the platforms they have made it for. The list of games is impressive. 3 games that were in development and are available as source. So maybe you can continue their development or look to see if you can aid in any coding projects of your own. There are also a lot of tutorials on how to make your own games, which is well worth checking out. So, the game we are looking at is Episode 1 of the Metal Blob Solid Blob Wars series, and I just absolutely love the titles that the devs use. Right, we're on the menu screen, and you can see you get Start New Menu, Options, Help and Quit, which is it's fairly standard. So we have a look at Help. It'll give a pre-description. It says, for gameplay instructions, please see the gameplay manual installed in the following location, which is user local share. Currently only in English, so if you just copy and paste that into your browser, you can have a look at the manual. Back to the menu. On Options, this will let you change whether you want full screen or not, sound and music. And if you do have sound, you want it to be non-mono or stereo. Brightness, blood and gore, and configure keys. I'm not going to use any sound in this particular video just in case there's some issues with the music. I know you could turn the music off, but I've heard that people can get in trouble using sounds as well, so just to be safe for sure, I think you can guess what it sounds like. And there's your save slots. You can choose difficulty. I'm going to put it on easy, I think. And away we go. First you're presented with a map, and you can choose a location you want to start off. So because it's only the beginning of the game, we'll start at the top, grasslands or flooded tunnel. And I've done this before, so it's grasslands. We'll try it. And you go down to the bottom and click start. But there's other options in case you want to have a look later. One thing I do love is the graphics are clean and crisp. I actually, and the sound effects are brilliant too. It's a shame that you can't hear them. But it's very well done. And it's smooth. The gameplay is really addictive. I actually quite like it. And it's very reminiscent of old school gaming. So if that's your thing, which it is for me, then I think you'll love this game. And again, you see, it's an independent developer that's made this. So it's been done for the passion and the love of it, and also, to get your name out. And it's free. And you really can't argue with that. The next game we're going to have a look at is Abbaye de Morts by Locomalito. Or Locomalito, my pronunciation is always usually wrong. Is described as a personal project, something that has been in the founder's mind since childhood. And really it's for the recreation of the sight, sound and feel of the games from his childhood. which can be a big draw and is indeed something that fuels the retro gaming scene now. The developer isn't alone, there are at least 4 other people involved, and it's all done to create some great titles that will give the 80s and 90s feel you may be after. And as you can see, there are a lot to choose from, and they have been made with love and care. There's no quick cash grab here to make you feel cheated, just the attention to detail and fun that the devs want to regain for a modern audience. Right, here's the game, and it looks gorgeous. I just love these Spectrum-inspired games. It really does look like it could be played on the Sinclair Spectrum. And if you press C, you could change the graphic to something a little bit more superior, either a Commodore 64 or even maybe Amiga. It's difficult. So it gives shadows and light to them, or leaves them as purely monochromatic, almost. I do prefer the old-fashioned look, so I'll leave it on that. And with it being a platform game, and a bit like Ghosts and Goblins, it reminds me of that. Also a little bit of Hunchback too. It's very good. I'm no good at playing it, but the game is very good. And the music is atmospheric. If you could only just listen to it, it would be nice. So I think, yeah, them tombstones are a save point, and you climb up there to jump on that platform. That's the plan anyway. Oh, never mind. Of course I'm no good at this. But yeah, it's very nice. It's very smooth. So, I mean, the idea that someone... I don't know how commercial this game would be. I mean, I should imagine... it's difficult to say. I mean, retro gaming really has taken off, but that's for the original game, so I don't know how a new game made to look old would fare. But it really doesn't matter. If the game is freeware or open source like this, it's made for the fun of it. And I think that's part of the appeal. 12 Brothers Hidden Idea. Okay, that's marvellous. And the developer, he's done lots of other games. Each one made with care and attention, and they're gorgeous to look at. And I just think that's something special, I think, personally, which is, can be said from my game playing skills. Anyway, why develop a game on FreeBSD? Well, I could go into depth, but briefly I'll say that it's free and open source. It's got a helpful community, native programming tools with the FreeBSD toolchain, low system requirements, so you could use it on a very old computer or the modern one. What we mean by free and open source is, when developing a game on FreeBSD, you don't need to worry about licensing and software fees. The operating system is free in every sense. The FreeBSD license is very permissive and open source, and so are the applications that ship with it. Got a helpful community. The FreeBSD community is made up of professionals and enthusiastic hobbyists who are always willing to lend a helping hand. Many FreeBSD users have an interest in programming and game development, so you're always guaranteed to find someone knowledgeable willing to help you. Got native programming tools. Included with FreeBSD is the FreeBSD toolchain, which provides a set of native programming tools for software development. Additional development tools and libraries can easily be installed using the PKG or port system. Because of low system resource requirements, FreeBSD makes it possible to develop games even on old computers that would struggle to run Windows or Mac OS. There are a few game engines out there for FreeBSD, each offering different features and technologies. Here are just some of the game engines that you can use to create anything from 3D shooters to a text adventure. There are, of course, some notable absentees, especially if you come over from the Linux side. But things change, and if enough people want the software that's listed in red, then ask, or better still, ask and donate to the FreeBSD Foundation, and you never know, someone may just start working on an official version, or at very least a port. So yeah, I think that FreeBSD could be a viable game platform. To play games on, of course, but also as a game developer platform. I think if you come across any game developers who make indie games for Linux, you could support them and maybe just ask, say, is there any chance you could do a FreeBSD version? Or maybe there'll be someone in the community who will take the source and port it over to FreeBSD. You know, many people don't think of FreeBSD as a gaming system, and I suppose that is true. But then again, many people don't think it can be a desktop system either, and that's certainly not true. I think it's all down to perception. I think it's down to what people know. And if people see that FreeBSD has a large user base using it as a desktop, then maybe the games will follow. I mean, it's already got quite a good selection of games, free and open source games. And many of these games were just purely either Windows only at one point or Linux only. And they've been ported over, which is a great thing. But it's always good if, say, like, for instance, people were to develop on FreeBSD, because then there really would be many more games. But yeah, I think indie games, I think that's a good way to go. I think that indie games are, you can take risks, you can be more adventurous with the games. You know, there are many big name games which have failed to make the grade. There's one particular Battlefield game that I think we all know that's not very good, and that was a premium AAA game. And I've had lots of fun out of very small independent games that were free. So, I don't know. I think this is the way that it should be going. Anyway, if you're still here after all this rambling, I'll say thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.